If you are not paying attention to what's happening, I feel truly that you may be doing a disjustice to your family. And if you have not listened to my content, or if you've been paying attention to my content, I'm going to ask you to truly listen to what I'm about to say. Now, currently, as I'm speaking, I just got done at day one at the Bitcoin 2025 conference. This is a conference in Las Vegas, Nevada, where 30,000 people converge on Las Vegas for the Bitcoin conference, and then we'll be going to XRP Las Vegas. Now, I've been preaching the same thing since 2020, and what this has done not only has freed my family financially, but we will be changing our family's timeline for generations to come because I did not listen to the naysayers. I focused on facts, figures, numbers, logic. Now, who is pictured right here is Rosie Rios. I physically saw her speak. She is the 43rd Treasurer of the United States, is responsible for signing the last $100 bill. She also said she's responsible for bringing in a new form of currency. Rosie Rios sits on the board of directors for Ripple, which is a company that created XRP. I just got done listening to Michael Saylor speak, who is a number 3 holder in Bitcoin. Number 2 is BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world. BlackRock is the number 3 holder in MicroStrategy, which has become Strategy B, which is now just a cryptocurrency company or treasury. So focusing back on Rosie Rios, she's the 43rd Treasurer of the United States, sits on the board of Ripple, which created XRP. Rosie Rios, during this speech right here, talks about, again, the freight train has left the building. Bitcoin and crypto is here to stay. Bo Bynes, the executive director for Trump, he's here at the Bitcoin conference, and also said that not only did they create the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, but their goal is to buy as much Bitcoin as humanly possible in a budget-neutral type of way. So what I'm here to tell you, and I will continue to say this, and I'm going to explain how this has changed how I think about money. Bitcoin and XRP will be number 1 and number 2. They will both be financial instruments that will change our financial system as we know it. So let me give you an example how I personally use this to not only change my family's timeline, but how we think about money. I think about money in 3 ways. Cash flow, not cash, it's trash, it's inflationary. I transmute cash flow into deflationary assets, hence things like Bitcoin and XRP that have a fixed supply, not a supply that can just be printed with a printing machine, fake money, the US dollar. Number 3, I focus on protection, using things like cash value life insurance. And number 4, leverage. So let me explain how I've actually used this. So from 2020 to 2024, most people within the US system lost 19% of their purchasing power because of inflation. I'll give you 2 examples of 2 assets that I own, where when people lost 19% of the value of their dollar, I gained 600% on my XRP and almost 195% on my Bitcoin. So I transmuted cash flow from my businesses and my ecosystems, and I transmuted some of it into deflationary assets that have fixed supplies. So you got to understand inflationary, which is US dollar, and deflationary. That's why the government wants to buy as much Bitcoin as possible in a budget neutral type of way, which I believe they're going to revalue gold. They're going to take the profit from that and they're going to allocate and diversify into Bitcoin. So that's one component that I used. As I profited in things like cryptocurrency in my businesses, we also created a protection component, cash value life insurance. That creates 3 factors for my family. We can borrow tax-free, be our own bank. We can grow our money tax-free and pass our money down tax-free. We got the cash flow component. I took my earnings from my businesses, put it into things like dividend ETF strategies to create more cash flow. I de-risked into things like Bitcoin and XRP, which are deflationary. And I created 2 banks, leverage. A Bitcoin bank that I will never sell, just like Bo Bynes said, the executive director for Trump. He said they're never selling Bitcoin, nor am I. And I'm going to explain to you how I leveraged it. And I have my cash value life insurance, which is a bank on yourself. And we can borrow and pay ourselves back. So let me give you an example of leverage. And when people say you shouldn't leverage your assets and leverage is bad, well, guess what? Most Americans are into leverage because you have a car loan, you have a home loan. You're just leveraging against things that make your family poorer. We leverage against things that create cash generating assets that makes our family wealthier. So an example is I took my Bitcoin. We did an asset-backed loan to Bitcoin at 70% LTV. We didn't touch our Bitcoin. We borrowed against our Bitcoin as collateral. We took that money at 14%. We bought a general agency, our own firm, our own insurance firm. Our insurance firm was already creating income. So we're already 2 months in. In 10 months, it'll be completely paid off. I'll have all my Bitcoin 100% or the whatever I borrowed, right? It'll be back to 100% LTV. We now have a cash generating asset that was paid for tax-free. Loans are tax-free. I borrowed at 14%. Bitcoin goes up 50% every year, and I made 36% on my money. And someone said to me, well, what if Bitcoin goes to zero in the next 5 years? You know, and I said, it's not, but let's just play that game. So Bitcoin goes to zero in the next 10 years. Remember, I took my Bitcoin, I bought a I only leveraged to buy cash generating assets. So if my Bitcoin goes to zero, I leveraged it during its lifetime, and I bought a firm that will be a multi-million-dollar firm. We use leverage to buy assets that create cash flow, that we can buy more assets that will appreciate. These are small incremental things that I learned after the pandemic when they took away my ability to feed my family because they shut down my business, and I made it my commitment to never ever let a man or woman ever take away my ability to take care of my family. And I learned how money actually works and how leverage works and why they were pushing us out of cryptocurrency and why now Bitcoin is now the savior and why XRP and the SEC going against Ripple, against one of the most disruptive technologies in the world. I think it's all by design. The system is going deflationary. Fixed supplies. Bitcoin will be the new store of value like gold. It'll be most valuable commodities and assets in the world. And technologies, like XRP will change the world. So don't let this shit go by. Pay attention. Study it. Don't trust a word I say. Prove me wrong. Study, study, study. And you should never say, if you ask me a question, you tell me I'm wrong, let me rephrase that. You say to me, you're wrong, it's going to zero. I say, why do you believe that? Because somebody told me. Until you can tell me that why you believe what you believe is because you're practicing what you preach and you actually studied this and implemented it, study it, get to the origin, apply it, learn, make mistakes, study this like the back of your hand. And if you can't tell me why you're investing in something and the origin of why and have conviction, then you should not be investing in it. Because if you got that deep, you would understand why I have conviction in XRP, why I have conviction in Bitcoin, and why I have conviction in life insurance, because it's changed my life, and it will change my family's timeline for generation. Well, I'm in the environment, I'm in the frequency at Bitcoin conference, and we're going to XRP Las Vegas, and I highly recommend you do the same. Because when you tap in and tune in, you'll see that our world is radically transforming spiritually, mentally, and financially, and this is the greatest time in human history to free your family financially. As we always say, warriors, rise, get your shit together, let's go.